And we're live, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me today. We have some big news out of the Tesla, EV, BP charging discussion. There's been a lot of things happening this year regarding the EV adoption, EV transition, and this marks one of the biggest steps in a legacy player and a player that's been around for a really long time jumping into the fray. So let's go ahead and cover exactly what's happened. This just broke earlier today from BP, formerly known as the British Petroleum Company, your favorite gas station. BP boosts EV charging network with $100 million order of Tesla ultra-fast chargers, which references to Tesla's supercharger network supercharger chargers. Deal with BP Pulse marks first time Tesla's ultra-fast chargers will be purchased for deployment on an independent EV charging network. Agreement forms part of BP's plans to invest up to $1 billion in EV charging across the U.S. by 2030. So it looks like they've invested about 10% of that already with Tesla starting in 2024. BP Pulse, BP's EV charging business, has already installed more than 27,000 charge points. And as early as 2024, Tesla chargers will be installed across the BP Pulse network, including at key BP, Amoco, I don't even know, ampersand, I'm guessing that's a formatting error, and Thornton's branded sites, travel centers of American locations, and at BP Pulse, large-scale GigaHub charging sites near airports and in major metropolitan areas in the United States. They also put out a more formal press release for the broader populace to read. I can link that in the comment section in the description below. So here's some additional information. Here's some rehash stuff here that they discuss, but I also want to highlight this last paragraph here. Tesla's chargers will also be deployed at select BP Pulse fleet customer depots. By pairing BP Pulse's industry-leading intelligent charge management software, Omega, with Tesla's fast and reliable chargers, BP Pulse gains a distinctive capability to oversee the entire charging process for fleet EV users, providing a comprehensive solution for its fleet customers. Now, when I look on X, formerly known as Twitter, I feel like I have to stop saying that. I should just say X. Martin Viecha, who is the head of investor relations at Tesla, tweeted Sawyer Merritt, who broke the news earlier this morning. Shout out to Sawyer. This is a big deal. ICE, internal combustion engine car drivers, will get to see fast chargers wherever they refuel at BP-owned stations, which is great for EV transition. On top of that, more fast chargers for EV owners. It's such a win-win. Now, this is truly, I really do believe this is a pretty big deal. If you think about the adoption of electric vehicles and sort of how they've been perceived in the past, one of the things that was commonly thrown out there is like, well, you know, EVs are not really viable. There's going to be a lot of companies out there that are not going to think that they're really going to work that well because, you know, they're too costly. There's not enough of an infrastructure. There isn't enough out there for people to adopt this technology. And so major things have happened this year that has flipped that completely upside down. It's really creating a different narrative, and a lot of that is led by Tesla. So the first thing that happened earlier this year around May is that Ford came out and said, hey, we're going to adopt Tesla's North American charging standard, which is the plug and charging standard that they created. And as soon as they announced it, almost every other legacy automaker came out and said, yep, we're going to adopt Tesla's charging plug so that our cars can take advantage of the Tesla charging network. And then 5 months later, BP comes out, which is, again, one of the largest, let's say, providers of oil services and alternative fuels globally, one of the biggest companies in the world, comes out and inks a $100 million deal with Tesla to gain access exclusively to their supercharger so they can start leveraging their charging network for whatever use cases they may use for electric vehicles. And then if you look at the growing trend of electric vehicles in the last few years, the growth of electric vehicles has been growing by about 50% per year for the last decade or so. And even though there's a little bit of an economic downturn happening across different countries, especially because of high interest rates, electric vehicles are still growing at a very rapid pace. So this signals, in my opinion, a sort of something that's happened where there is big players out there, not just legacy automakers, but now you have infrastructure type companies that are jumping on the quote unquote EV bandwagon by leveraging one of the most advanced charging solutions out there, which in this case is Tesla's supercharger network. And as Martin highlighted in his post, I think when people are driving around, generally speaking, let's say you're somebody who's not familiar with the EV world, or you're hesitant with the EV world, and you start showing up at, like you said, gas stations or places where they have chargers now, not just any charger. They have Tesla superchargers, and I'm very curious to see how they're going to brand these chargers. But you start going to places, and one of the biggest hurdles for people is like, man, there's not enough charging stations out there for my car. Outside of cost, which is by far the biggest reason why people are hesitating on adopting EVs. The second one is, I'm afraid that I'm not going to have a place to charge. And now you have this giant come through and say, okay, we got you. We got you. We're going to put the supercharger network in there. We're confident that it's going to work. Legacy automakers have already made the decision, especially in the United States, to move to Tesla's plug. So we know that if we go with Tesla's supercharger network, we already have everything we need. We got the right plug, and we got the speed, and we got the reliability, and it's a proven technology because Tesla's supercharger network is by far the most reliable. Its uptime is significantly higher than competing products if you look at any study that's out there. And they're also the most plentiful. So this opens yet another door for a company like Tesla to start maturing into much more of an infrastructure type company than just an automaker. And this is yet another variable that sort of has happened that will allow Tesla to do that. They started the year with mostly car sales, really a huge majority car sales, and really strong margins. And as the year has progressed, their margins have taken a little bit of a hit for sure because of the economic conditions. And other automakers are starting to warn about the same dynamic. Mercedes and BMW just came out very recently and said, hey, we're going to have some margin compression. Volvo came out and said that earlier today as well. GM is sort of ringing the alarm around, hey, our EV plans are going to have to be delayed because we don't think we can make them profitably. Ford comes out with earnings probably in about an hour here, and I'm going to assume they're going to have the same sort of language. And so now Tesla is dealing with that, but all of a sudden you also have its plug being adopted. Now its supercharger network is being adopted by an oil giant. And then you have their energy margins, their energy storage business is reaching 24% margin now, which is higher than the car, significantly higher than the car business. And a lot of those things, the energy business, it's driven by batteries. And these partnerships are driven by their charging infrastructure. And then they have their AI play going on with full self-driving and the bot. So you're starting to see this sort of evolution of the company and this recognition by the broader markets that's saying, hey, it looks like Tesla's got it kind of figured out when it comes to electric vehicles, And then you put it within the backdrop of a player like a Honda, which yesterday announced that they're backing out of the deal with GM. Well, I guess it was a mutual agreement where they're not going to continue on their partnership on the Ultium battery for a cheap EV in the long term because they were afraid that it's not going to work. And then the next day, BP comes out as like $100 million investment on Tesla's charging network. So, this is just my observation of what's happening right now. I could be biased. I am pro EV, and I'm somebody that really thinks this is an inevitable technology that's going to be adopted, and there will be hiccups along the way. But moves like these really highlight that we are transitioning from a early adopter phase to a mass market phase. And it's going to take a lot of these types of announcements, like the legacy automakers adopting Tesla's plug, like BP adopting Tesla's supercharger network. And I'm going to assume Exxon and the other guys probably are going to come out soon and announce something similar, because now BP has think about it, they have an advantage from a EV customer perspective, because on average, the EV customer is significantly more affluent than the average gas car driver, because EVs are just more expensive to own right now relative to, say, the cheapest used cars out there, which are all going to be gas cars, your $5,000, $10,000 cars. Those are still going to be driven to gas stations. But now BP is going to have a clientele that is able to afford a $30,000, a $40,000, a $50,000 Tesla, or whatever other EV, Ford Mustang Mach-E, or whatever else you might buy. Now those customers are going to start showing up at BP locations, and they're going to start spending money at their locations as well. So this is starting to become like an infrastructure real estate type play, where I think players are waking up to the fact that if they can attract that buyer, it's going to be a good thing. And Tesla has enabled, by and large, this sort of ecosystem to really exist, where the EV customer is a customer that's going to be willing to spend money at your business as long as you give them a place to charge. And it's with the amount of cars that are out there now with EVs, and they're about to grow really exponentially through the years here, through the rest of the decade, especially as Tesla releases its compact car and other automakers come out with more affordable vehicles. This is just the beginning. This is just the beginning. So yeah, big deal. Pretty big deal. I'm going to let you go. I'm just going to cut it here because Ford's earnings are coming out very soon and I need to prepare for that. So I hope this was informative. If you enjoyed it, like and subscribe. I love you very much.